Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council comes up with 60-day plan on agro-export. Senate considers bill to regulate payment of house rent. Japan's Nikkei 225 rises almost 2%. Many Asian markets remain closed for Lunar New Year holidays. Plus, oil rises after draw in U.S. stocks. Eyes on OPEC Plus decision. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. You're welcome to that time we talk business. I will start by telling you that the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, chaired by Vice President, had a comprehensive meeting on agro-exports and came up with a 60-day plan to look at the various challenges facing the sector. The Vice President, after receiving a report on issues surrounding agro-exports, said there has to be a complete reorientation on the exercise of regulatory authority in the country in order for businesses and investors to thrive in Nigeria. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
It all began late last October when exporters and importers of agro products met with the Vice President and complained of challenges they were facing. This led to the setting up of an ad hoc committee to look at the issues. That ad hoc committee was headed by the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment. The report of that committee is what this meeting deliberates on.
They presented the report, and it has been decided that the PEBEC will now look at ways of implementing the report, such that necessary steps will be taken to make business easier for these exporters and importers.
In the context of around the ports, businesses, containers moving to and from the ports, we discussed that. The Honorable Minister of Police Affairs was here in the meeting as well. All the checkpoints on the road, we discussed security, we discussed corruption, we discussed inefficiencies and lack of transparency. These are the real issues, and we discussed them all. The private sector were here represented strongly, and they were quite pleased with the reforms. So if MDAs are able to implement these reforms, then there will be some succor and respite.
Secretary of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, Jumoke Oduwale, says PEBEC is also tracking what's happening in states, and they are cooperating.
We have a number of things: automation, regulatory reforms, processes, and we'll give you the document. We're going to track, as usual, with your support for the next 60 days, starting on the 7th of February and ending on the 7th of April.
Oduwale described the intervention as a continuous action to improve the business environment, and this is the 7th National Action Plan. In the State House, Jide Onifade.
And the Senate is considering a bill that seeks to regulate the mode of payment of rent on residential apartments in the Federal Capital Territory. The proposed law has passed second reading.
As low-income earners who cannot afford continually pay their rent engage in measures which are illegal or unlawful.
Even those who are homeowners, there is no use somebody struggle to pay you the first one and subsequently you are dragging almost every day.
It's whether it is just to ask the clerk of the Senate whose salary is not up to 800,000 or maybe 400 to pay 2 million at once in advance, where are you expecting him to get that money?
Government can go into housing schemes, mortgage schemes, housing credit facilities, not control the business of private individuals. I therefore oppose vigorously this bill.
Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, has revealed that the data protection industry is worth 4.08 billion naira, creating more than 8,000 jobs for Nigerians.
The only comprehensive regulation we have in Nigeria so far is Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. It is because of this, I think the journey so far is highly commendable. And the federal government of Nigeria is working day in, day out to integrate this existing legislation into full law.
Data drives digital economy, and digital economy drives the growth of traditional economy. We can harness the potentials of this technology and avoid its perils.
And now joining me to talk on the 5th generation network and privacy is CSENA Director of Information Security Development, Olatunji Igbala Jobi. You are welcome to Business Express.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good. To start with, Nigeria may become the largest 5G subscriber in Africa. What are the implications of this?
Well, I believe it's a right step in the right direction for the country, and considering the fact that Nigeria, the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy is looking at an increase in digital economy, and so to speak, Nigeria is fast becoming the prominent country in Africa when you talk about the digital economy. So the implication is that there's going to be an increase in digital economy improvement in the country, where people can come up with innovative and technology that can help achieve particularly some goals that the country has in terms of digital economy. And it's also going to help in deep broadband penetration. This is one of the major issues that the country has been faced with in terms of deep broadband penetration to some, remote areas. So imagine this technology is being deployed, to a relevant area where, in a remote environment where people can easily get access to the internet. For instance, people who are farmers in the remote environment, they can easily begin to look at how they can have their, products export to the community in real time. And it's also going to actually, faster security monitoring in real time, because the way, the technology is being, developed and the high scale of the run. So I believe it's the right step in the right direction for the country. And we just have to follow the due process, as regards to the implementation of the 5G network.
Okay, having enumerated some of those advantages, particularly in security and agriculture, what do you think should the public, business people do to get ready to key into these advantages?
Yeah, really, you'll be talking about people, business is going to look at industrial revolution, and the public-private sector has to synergize. There must be a very concrete synergy between the public sector and the private sector. So the private sector will begin to look at how this technology is going to aid in ensuring optimization of service delivery. Why the public sector is trying to ensure that there are adequate policies in place, national policy that will actually help in aiding the technology to be effective and also have a significant impact on our economy.
Now we understand this will bring in place enhanced technology, talking about robotics, where machines are going to be doing a whole lot of things. Yes, for efficiency and faster result getting. But then there is always this fear of job losses. How do you think we should be able to handle that?
Well, I believe the advance of technology, we can't throw away the fact that technology is becoming, major resources that is going to enable and power the next future work. No doubt, automation and 5G can, help industrial environment to really. For instance, if we look at our port environment, 5G is going to actually help in doing a lot of work in our port system. You can be talking about intelligent, predictive, machines, a machine that can easily clear goods in no time. We have, I believe, what we have to do as a country. This is the time for us to now begin to engage relevant stakeholders and see how we can begin to create a think tank group, identify areas where we know that automation can actually, cause job loss. But the truth of the matter is that there's absolutely, there's absolutely no way we can deny the fact that there might be one or two areas where job can be lost. But we also have to understand that this technology is also going to create more opportunity for jobs, where people can also look beginning to get more jobs. So we have to first of all identify areas where we know automation can really be increased and people can, possibly lose their job. And even so to speak, the countries, the developed nations, where they really adopt, automation in terms of if you go to some developed nation, especially when you get to the embassy, you realize that a lot of automation system has already taken place. And we will not even have the statistic record of job loss in those countries. Some of those countries, they are even having a zero unemployment rate. So firstly, we have to, as a country, we have to address, our imminent, challenge. First, we look at our power sector. For this automation to even really be effective in Nigeria power sector has to be optimum. That is where we can begin to talk about automation and what it will cause to job loss. Yes, it may pose stress, but we have to also identify areas where we believe technology can begin to, create more job opportunity for citizens. And because government will not be fulfilling the responsibility, we deploy technology and people are losing jobs, and there are no other, job creation. So identify areas where we know that automation can actually take place and people can lose jobs. Identify areas where we know that automation can help improving, job creation, and let people begin to channel their skills and energy towards that sector. So I think that is the right way to go for us.
Okay, taking a look at this expected automation, that is, if we get it right, smart cities are going to be coming on board and a whole lot of others. What is the cost implication like?
Well, there have been agitation here and there that smart city can bring about increase in cost or things. But I believe I bet to differ in a way. Where there might be an increase in some services and products, we also have to understand that this technology is also going to help optimization of work, service delivery, aid remote work. For instance, technology people who have been constantly, and some companies who have subject their staff to remote work opportunity. Once you have reduced the cost of transportation for them, yes, there might be increase in cost of data subscription for them. But we have to balance the fact that smart cities, the automation of the deployment of 5G, which can actually help smart city, also has its own, positive impact in terms of optimization of service delivery, in terms of, creating more remote job opportunity, enabling environment. So I bet to disagree. And when we don't even have smart city, we have inflation here and there. So I don't believe this technology is going to actually, skyrocket, inflation in terms of goods and services. We just have to look at the advantage that this is going to pose to the general populace and see how we can really tap into it, because it is actually the way to go.
Well, thank you for sharing that notion. While you talked about the possible contribution of the private sector, what type of interagency synergy, that's between government and also the private sector or government, is required to properly harness the advantages of this network in Nigeria?
So well, it's a public-private sector relationship. Public-private sector relationship where the private sectors can come up with their terms, while the public sector can begin to look at implementation of how this will be effective for the country. So relevant agencies like Nigerian Communication Commission, NICDA, relevant association, ADCON, relevant association and general stakeholders in the industry has to begin to look at, the pros and cons of this technology and how much of opportunity, can we derive as a country, and how much of challenge can we face so that we're able to balance the scorecard. So it's the public-private sector synergy.
Okay, well, looking at it to be specific now, yes, you spoke about the expectations of the private sector as well as the public sector. You being a private sector player and the National Information Technology Development Agency, that is NIDA, which is Nigeria's clearing house for IT initiative. How should the agency adequately aid in deployment of the 5G? Your opinion?
Yeah, well, the one area is to ensure that the spectrum that will be used in this deployment are actually quality. That must not be sabotaged in that area. That must absolutely not be sabotaged. That is when we can actually get the optimum value for this technology. And then again, in the area of possible service provider increasing their data subscription, the government must also look at a possibility of having a contention with service provider in Nigeria to know if the technology is also going to aid your service delivery. There must be a balanced scorecard to how far they can actually talk about data subscription, cost of data subscription in the country, so that the technology is effective and enabling the business while it's also not impacting the cost of living and the cost of people carrying out their services while making use of this technology.
Well, thank you, Mr. Igbala Jobi, for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time. And we look forward to faster deployment and enjoying the efficiency this technology will bring on board.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Moving on, 5 months into the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, there are indications that Nigeria is on the path of a transparent fiscal framework in the oil and gas industry. Chief Executive Officer of the NNPC Limited, Mele Kari, told Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources upstream during an oversight to the organization.
What we are here to achieve, quite frankly, is that the signing into law of this act by Mr. President has given us, the President Night Assembly, an ample time to ensure the full implementation, the full takeoff. We also believe that since we are here, you will give us more information about the way and manner you intend to explore the frontier basin, of course.
Today, we're in entirely a new situation in the oil and gas industry. I can confirm to you also from my interactions with our peers and partners across the globe, we probably have one of the most transparent fiscal systems in the world today, clearly very competitive in every respect in the world.
Let's now take a trip to the commodities market. Oil prices rose on Wednesday towards last week's 7-year highs after data showing a fall in U.S. crude stocks underlined solid demand. But investors remain cautious ahead of an OPEC Plus meeting due later in the day. Brent crude climbed 0.4% to $89.52 a barrel after easing 10 cents on Tuesday. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up 38 cents at $88.58 a barrel, having gained 5 cents the previous day. And the Nigerian equities market depreciated in a midweek trade this Wednesday in its first day of loss this week. The NGX All Share Index lost 0.38% to close at 46,980.66 basis points. Market capitalization depreciated to 25.2 trillion naira as 434.9 million shares exchanged hands and valued at 6.2 billion naira in 5,878 deals. And now on the global market, Japan's Nikkei 225 rises almost 2%. Many Asian markets remain closed for Lunar New Year holidays. Nekaoko brings us up to speed.
European stocks moved higher on Wednesday amid positive momentum in global markets. Germany's DAX rose 0.58%, London's FTSE climbed 0.68%, and CAC 40 France appreciated by 0.69%. Stocks in Asia also advanced this Wednesday, with multiple major markets in Asia remaining closed for the Lunar New Year holidays. The Nikkei 225 in Japan gained 1.68% to close at 27,533.60, while the Topix index advanced 2.14% to 1,936.56. In the U.S., Nasdaq futures rose in early trading after the technology-focused average gained for the third day in the regular session. Dow futures notched 273 points higher, S&P 500 gained 0.69%, and Nasdaq 100 rose 0.75%. In Africa, the bulls dominated the markets as all stocks except Ghana's GSE Composite traded in positive territory. Kenya's Nairobi All Share led gains with a 1.2% increase. South Africa's GSE Africa Top 40 was up by 1%, while Tunisia and Namibia were marginally positive.
Let's now take a look at how the Naira is exchanging for other currencies. This is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on NTA's channel. Business Express returns Thursday by 9:30 a.m. I am Benny Adams saying, keep safe.